Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. It's been a momentous few weeks in the life of the Buhari administration in Nigeria. First was the unexpected closure of the border between Nigeria and Benin Republic, followed by the dissolution, or as some would like to say it, the rechristening of President Buhari's economic management team. That last one has been inexorably tied to the to-be or not to-be story of Vice President Yemi Osinbajo's role in the administration. For a conversation on this, we're now being joined from Abuja studio by Ahmed Buhari, a businessman and information and communications consultant who ran for president of Nigeria during the 2019 general election. Ahmed Buhari.
Ruben, good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. It's good to have you again on the morning show. Well, quickly, we're just going to have a conversation with you around some topical issues in Nigeria. Let's start with the Economic Advisory Council, which the president set up recently to replace the economic management team, and the politics of all that conversation around it, whether this is meant to diminish the impact, influence, and relevance of the office of the vice president. What do you think?
Hi, good morning, viewers. There's been a lot of discussion around the relevance of the vice president in the administration and how a lot of people think they have sort of boxed him to a corner and reduced his responsibilities. At the same time, there's been a lot of cry from a lot of people saying that the economy is not working, they want to see it work. There have been different conversations from all sides of the divide. This is what I think. I think one of the best decisions I have seen in recent times with regards to the administration is the economic team that has just been set up. And the chairman of that economic team is somebody that we all are very clear about his pedigree and what he has been able to achieve, especially within the economic sector, talking about Professor Doyin Salami. And in that same team, we have members like Professor Soloju, we have people like Bismarck Rwani. These are people that we are excited to have on that economic team. And for me, in all sincerity, my expectation is to see that they actually drive this economy to prosperity. Let's start with the vice president. I have immense respect for him. He's been truly inspirational and motivational when it comes to how to unite the people, how to collectively make people understand that there's a direction that we want to move to. However, when people complain about his removal or his shift in responsibility from the economic team, I keep asking people, he's not an economist. He's a lawyer. He's a professional lawyer, and I think his strength would lie in how to make decisions when it comes to the justice system of the country. With regards to the economic team, right from the time of Obasanjo, we've always had the vice president heading the economic team, but there's no constitutional attachment to that role. It just started in 1999, and so many other administrations decided to just stick with the vice president to run the economic team. If this administration is saying that they want to have a shift with that, as to that regard, by all means, I think we should, share with them what we think are the best views, what we think are the best values to help them succeed. Because at the end of the day, like I was hearing you speak to the previous speaker, we are all in this together. Nigeria is not going anywhere. We're going to do whatever we have to do to make sure that we're united, to make sure that we're prosperous, and that is exactly where I think we should be focusing our attention on.
Mr. Buhari, we appreciate your opinion on that first question. However, I do want to stay on the topic of the vice president. I hear what you're saying, that he is a lawyer by trade and not an economist, but it is interesting, you'd admit, that this new economic council was brought up and created off the back of the one that he did. So following on from that, and the fact that we know that there's been some types of issues within the government, the administration, a clash between the vice president and Bola Tinubu. Do you think that this economic council was a rejection of the vice president himself?
Again, these are speculations, these are insinuations, these are
people reading meanings into what may not be there. If I heard you clearly, you were saying that there's been some activities within the government, and you think it's with that, in that regards, that you think that the Vice President is being shielded or pushed to the side. I don't think so. I think the Vice President is still relevant. I don't
think that. I'd like to know whether or not you think that those are markers that, in fact, there is some contention within the administration, and perhaps the Vice President might not last as Vice President throughout the duration of this term. I'm putting that to you, actually.
I will be most disappointed if anything like that is going on. I still think the relationship between the President and the Vice President and all the people around the corridors of power still remains as it has always been. My hope is that it gets better. My hope is that they're able to function better as a team. My hope is that the Vice President's morale is as high as possible, because everybody's input is needed if we really want to succeed here. So I don't think there's that's a road or a route to actually pay attention to right now.
Well, I mean, thank you very much, Ahmed Buhari. But, I mean, you know, I share the same view with you. I mean, Section 5 of the Constitution is very clear. There's only one president, you know, and that president, you know, has, you know, almost absolute executive powers, if we look at that section of the Constitution. Section 4 vests power in an institution, the legislature. Section 6 vests power in an institution, the judiciary. But Section 5 in an individual, and that's the president of Nigeria, you know, and he can delegate either to the vice president or to other officials. And that is again retained in Section 148 of the 1999 Constitution. But we can leave that for a moment. What kind of priorities would you like this Economic Advisory Council that you have praised so much, what kind of priorities would you like them to focus on and to use to guide the administration going forward?
It has to be job creation. It has to be job creation. It has to be a stable power supply. It has to be fighting insecurity to ensure that there's a strong security in the land. Because at the end of the day, the three major things that Nigerians are really concerned about right now is their security, is their business prosperity, and obviously it's to see how all of this can be run when there's power. So with the team that we've seen on ground, I'm hoping that they're able to create as many jobs as possible within the shortest possible time, not just jobs that are going to last for the next few months and disappear. We hope that they're going to be able to reindustrialize the system. You know, what they've talked about with the economic hubs, we hope that they're going to be able to focus on those economic hubs and make sure that they see how we can decongest the two major cities or the three major cities in the country, Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Abuja. Let's see how we can actually take these industrial hubs to other places where we can actually see how we can, promote rural migration over rural urban migration, because at the end of the day, we're beginning to have cities that are about to burst. These are the things that I'm hoping that this economic team will look at. These are the things that I'm hoping that this economic team will face. And then there's been this talk about the recent cashless policy and how people are thinking of, if you do deposit, you're being charged about 2% for depositing. If you withdraw cash over 500,000 as an individual, you're being charged about 3% for that withdrawal. If it's an organization, you're going to be charged about 2% for depositing anything from 3 million above. If you're going to withdraw anything at that range, you're going to be charged about 5%. Yeah, look, this policy has been there since 2012. I remember in 2012 when they came up with the cashless policy during the previous administration, there was a huge talk about how if Nigerians could succeed on this. There were complaints about the fact that we didn't even have internet that's the infrastructure that would help this cashless policy drive to be sustained. Over time, I remember in 2014, it was now left to rest a little bit with the belief that a lot of people would take those cash that they have under their beds and their bedrooms and soccerways to the banks, so that policy doesn't affect them. And I think from 2014 to about 2019, it's about 5 years. This is a huge time for everybody to say, yes, there's been a huge improvement in how much this hope full cashless policy can be sustained, especially in critical areas like Lagos, Abuja, Kano, and Anambra, Port Harcourt, for example.
So yes, I think it's if we were to switch gears and focus on uncertainty, we know that no leader of a country is happy with a climate of uncertainty. And if we talk about current uncertainty, we know that the Nigeria-Benin border closure is perpetuating that. What are your thoughts on that? How do you think the administration is handling that uncertainty? Very briefly, please, sir. Nigeria
still remains the big brother in this region. At the end of the day, we have a very porous border, not just from the Nigerian-Benin angle. We also have a porous border between the Nigerian-Niger Republic angle. We have it also on the other side with the Cameroonians and the insecurity that's going on in the Chad area. I really would appreciate if this is sustained. Let's see how we try it out. Let's see how, because at the end of the day, people have been complaining, and I keep saying, what was the activity that was going on there? It was illegal activities. If we're trying to curb illegal activities, by all means, we should, because we must come first in whatever decisions we're trying to make. When you go to, if you've been to Cotonou before, the number of cars you see there, and Nigerians have been expected to go there and buy them and pay for all the duties and all the transportation from Benin Republic into Nigeria. And you'll be wondering, why don't we have the ports here? Why don't the cars come here? But obviously, we've done that with most of our neighbors so that we can have some superiority around them when we make our decisions, especially in the African Union or in the ECOWAS sittings. Yes, I accept that we can do things like that, but nonetheless, we must take care of our own internal issues first before we start worrying about whatever is going on around us. As we do that, we're also ensuring that we are promoting security and ensuring that the relationship we have with our neighbors are top-notch. But at the end of the day, I think if the government is saying that its rice production is being affected by the fact that a lot of influx of rice is coming in, because, look, this is what I think. I think the rise that comes in, or the illegal goods and services that come in from those borders, if they're truly affecting our economy, then we should all be open doing to see that we stop this from happening.
Well, thank you very much, Ahmed Buhari. Good to have you again on the morning show. I look forward to our next encounter, and thank you for always obliging us.